We did it, right. We had it with Sam Jackson
Right.
as Nick Fury.
Right.
That was a top secret shoot. We had to do that like on a day off. Sam Jackson came in. Right. So yeah, the way it works is Iron Man at the end just walks into his living room after the credits.
Mm-hmm. Tony Stark's living room.
And Tony Stark's living room, and he gets surprised by Nick Fury being there, inviting him to join the Avengers Initiative, and that kind of kicks off the whole sequencing that happens.
Mm-hmm.
And I had him do a take for me. I knew it wasn't going to be in the movie.
We have that, actually.
Oh, you have the.
We have
Where
it.
did you find this? This was never. Did you? How,
I don't know.
This is
Guillermo
real,
got
by the
it
way.
for
This
us.
isn't a
Yeah.
joke. Like
Yeah.
this, we really filmed this just for fun.
Yeah.
And
Well,
now you have it. Okay,
we
well,
have it.
say
Here we
what
go.
is.
I am Iron Man. You think you're the only superhero in the world?
Who the hell are you?
I'd like to talk to you about a business opportunity.
Who the hell are you?
Nick Fury, mother. As if gamma accidents, radioactive bug bites, and assorted mutants weren't enough, I have to deal with a spoiled brat who doesn't play well with others and wants to keep all his toys to himself.
Who the hell are you?
Nick Fury, director of S.H.I.E.L.D. I'm here to talk to you about the Avenger Initiative.
Well, what are we avenging?
Whatever the hell we want.
Welcome back, everyone. It's Charlie. Jon Favreau in Marvel just released another post-credit scene for the Iron Man movie, a couple different post-credit scenes, so we'll break it down because there's obviously a bunch of big Easter eggs here. If you're brand new to the channel, be sure to subscribe to get all the videos. The reason why Jon Favreau was talking about this Iron Man post-credit scene years later, because it's been a long time since the movie came out, since he directed the first couple of Iron Man movies, is because The Mandalorian Season 3 just came out and he's on Kimmel promoting that. So that's how they got a hold of this other clip. It's the third different Iron Man post-credit scene. There are 3 different post-credit scenes. The version in the theatrical cut that we all saw doesn't have any F-bombs, obviously does not mention any mutants, X-Men characters, or Spider-Man, but as funny as it is to hear Sam Jackson do a whole bunch of F-bombs, obviously we're going to see him in Secret Invasion, so I'm sure he's going to go on the press tour and drop F-bombs everywhere. Obviously, the big takeaway here are the Spider-Man and X-Men references. So when he says radioactive bug bites, that's a reference to Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man's Spider Bite. It's Tobey Maguire because of when the movie was filmed. Iron Man 1 was filmed in 2007. It was released in 2008. That was when they were still planning on making Spider-Man 4 with Tobey Maguire. Sam Raimi was still developing it. They hadn't officially recast with Andrew Garfield yet. In fact, I just did a video on what the plot of Spider-Man 4 was going to be, Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man 4, because they just announced Tom Holland's Spider-Man 4, going to be a very different version of Spider-Man 4. Because they were so far along in development of Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man 4, some video material actually leaked out from that. I posted on my channel a while ago, so I'll link it below in the description, because it is pretty cool. When Nick Fury mentions assorted mutants, he's talking about X-Men characters, and remember, this is 2007, so it means that at the time, Kevin Feige had planned to include them in the first Avengers movie in some way, X-Men and Spider-Man, planning from the very beginning of the MCU to have much more crossovers with all of Marvel's characters in the different studios. The reason why that didn't wind up happening is because when they were filming this post-credit scene teasing the first Avengers crossover, Fox had just released X-Men Last Stand, and they were developing the Wolverine Origins movie. But it confirms that Kevin Feige and the Marvel people, when they were developing Marvel Phase 1 and figuring out what that first Avengers movie was going to be, wanted to get a version of Spider-Man and at least one of the X-Men like Wolverine on the Avengers, because Wolverine and Spider-Man have both been Avengers in the past. And Iron Man eventually made Tom Holland Spider-Man an Avenger during Infinity War.
You're an Avenger now.
While this was all happening, they were still developing the other Marvel Phase 1 movies, like the first Captain America movie. Kevin Feige was also planning on using Hugh Jackman's Wolverine in a cameo scene during the first Captain America movie, during the scene where he saves the Howling Commandos and the other POWs. Hugh Jackman's Wolverine would have been one of these other POWs. Mostly because he fought in World War II. He was born in the late 1800s, so he fought in pretty much all of Earth's major wars up to present day. It would have been a very quick cameo scene, but Fox said no at the time because that was happening a couple years later, and at that time, they were getting ready to release Wolverine Origins, so Fox was rolling big on Hugh Jackman's Wolverine. He was like at the height of his popularity. And obviously, they wound up having to remove this Iron Man post-credit scene for legal reasons just because they couldn't clear it with all of Sony and Fox's and Marvel's lawyers at the same time. Like, imagine getting 3 different studios' groups of lawyers to agree on something. That's like an Avengers-level battle all by itself. But while Hugh Jackman was promoting the Wolverine movie later, a little while after this, he totally Babe Ruth style called everyone crossing over in the MCU during Avengers Secret Wars eventually. He was just a few years ahead of the curve at the time.
Question the other day to Tom, who's from Marvel, who works with all the other studios. He works with Sony and Fox. That's his job to liaise. And I said, man, can this happen? And he goes, look, it's not going to be easy because you're working with different studios and their properties. But I believe, maybe I'm optimistic. I understand at Marvel they've got Avengers, they've got a lot of big things going on. But at some point, I just find it almost impossible to believe there's not a way to bring Iron Man, all the Avengers characters, you know, Wolverine, the X-Men characters, Spider-Man, and somehow get them in together. But I'm in for it. I'm totally up for it because I think that would be really exciting for fans across the board.
During that clip when he said that he was talking to his guy, quote unquote, at Marvel who worked with all the other studios, that was actually Kevin Feige years ago before he became the Kevin Feige that you know today. Kevin Feige actually got his start producing on that first Bryan Singer X-Men movie. He also worked on all the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man movies himself, too.
Thank you, Kevin Feige. Love you, Kevin Feige. Thank you, MCU.
There was also a cool deleted scene of Spider-Man meeting Wolverine during the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man movies. Originally, Bryan Singer filmed a Spider-Man cameo scene for fun in the first X-Men movie in 2000.
Victor, take 1, A mark.
B mark.
Wait! I am completely in the wrong movie. I am so sorry.
That was long before Tobey Maguire had been cast as Spider-Man, and they had to remove it from the movie, obviously, because Sony was still working on its first Spider-Man movie ever. They had just started talking to Sam Raimi at the time. But then after Sony cast Tobey Maguire, and after the first X-Men movie was a hit, years later, based on the popularity of the Wolverine character and the popularity of the Spider-Man character just in general, one of the most popular characters from comics of all time, Sony and Fox legit came to an agreement to have a Wolverine cameo in a Tobey Maguire Spider-Man movie. He'd meet him on the street in New York City. Even though it was going to be a really quick scene, it was meant to be this huge deal. But according to Hugh Jackman, when they were getting ready to film the scene, they had a problem with his Wolverine costume and they had to cancel the cameo, and that's why we never actually saw it. So even though all of our attention now is on the MCU crossovers, like Marvel getting the rights back to all of its characters and seeing X-Men, Fantastic Four, all the Spider-Man crossover with all the regular MCU characters, going all the way back to the early 2000s, pretty much every different studio has had some kind of major cross-studio crossover plan that's usually gotten derailed for one reason or another. Thankfully, that's finally done, with one exception. There are actually new reports that Disney might wind up selling Hulu to Comcast in a deal to get the full rights back to the Hulk movies and Namor movies. Now, they do have the rights to use the characters, but they can't release the movies. They're distribution rights that Universal still holds underneath Comcast. That's why we haven't seen a Hulk solo movie since the first Incredible Hulk movie. Originally, those Incredible Hulk movies were intended to be a trilogy of films, and there's been talk now of them doing a new World War Hulk movie, like Marvel's actually developing it. But the problem right now is that if they make it, then Universal has the rights to distribute it and put it on their streaming service, and Disney doesn't want that. And at least up to this point, they haven't been able to buy back the rights, like Universal hasn't been willing to sell them back the rights. And apparently the same is true for the Namor character, like that's why they can't do a Namor solo movie. But speaking of Namor more recently, the writer of Avengers 5 Kang Dynasty actually just said that Namor would be featured in a big way during the movie. He's a super powerful mutant, so of course they'd include him in the movie. If you spotted any Easter eggs that I didn't talk about in the video, just write them below in the comments, or any questions about these historical crossovers that Marvel tried to pull off back in the day. Everyone click here for all my Mandalorian Season 3 episodes, and click here for that deleted scene of Spider-Man meeting Wolverine in the X-Men. Thank you so much for watching, everyone stay safe, and I'll see you guys in the next one.